these next comics sold for crazy amounts of money. We're talking about 2019 art and comic sales that were so staggering that we had to put it together in a list of 10 to provide them to you right now. Guru, what's the first on this list?
I'm going to start off with the number one selling comic of the year, which is a Marvel Comics number one.
That's right. We had a sale. The highest selling of a Marvel comic book broke record this year, $1.26 million.
That's a huge number. And this is a great book because it was also a pedigree. It was a CGC 9.4 Windy City pedigree, which is a pretty prolific collection. This person who put it together bought only number one issues.
Yeah, that's right. He was a mail carrier, and it was one of those things. Like, we're all kind of like this in the community a little bit. You see that number one, and you're like, should I grab one or two or any? Like, you just kind of feel like, hey, it's a number one. That's the one, right? Like, if there's going to be a guessing game of what to grab, that's typically the one. Well, that someone was doing that in 1940, and it was a mail carrier, and he did that with this comic.
This guy was the true speculator right here. I tell you that, because he started in 1937.
Oh my gosh,
as early, but he didn't get an Action 1.
Yeah, who would have thought though? Like, he got the Marvel one, so at least he got one of them. And it's also mentioned that it's known that this comic's only traded a handful of hands over the years, so very scarce, and it's cool that it was preserved over this amount of time. And then the next one on this list is Batman 8.0, issue number 1.
This is obviously an amazing book already. I mean, you have the first appearance of Joker, first appearance of Catwoman, and this book sold for $498,000.
Now, you're well-versed in Batman 1. I know you own one. What are your thoughts about this sale? Almost $500,000 for an 8.0.
I think that's about where this book is. It's not, I don't think it's undersold. I don't think it's over. I think that's just about right for this number. These are not going to be in any particular order, this list. We're just going to be talking about some cool sales here.
Ooh,
right?
Good reminder, yeah. No particular order. These are just the ones that caught our eye. But let's tell them about this Superman number 1 at 4.5.
So the 4.5 sold for $336,000 this year.
And that's really high.
Right, that's a high number. That book is always going to sell more than Batman 1 right now. And, you know, there's still, like, people debating why, considering that Superman 1 did come out a year earlier, but it also only reprints stories. So it doesn't really, you know, you have the first Joker, first Catwoman. Why does it sell for so much more? It just does.
Well, it doesn't just sell for so much more, but that 0.5, that change up, what happened?
Yeah, I mean, we're going up from 4.5 to 5.0, and we saw over $120,000 difference in price. It was $456,000 for this 5.0.
That's crazy. That's insane. 6-figure difference for half a point. I got to see this book. I wasn't able to look at to see if like the eye appeal was drastically different, but I can't imagine it. I mean, 0.5 is so subjective at that point. Man, like that's just crazy gains in such a short amount of time. We're talking about a difference of 3 months.
I realize it's just a 0.5 difference, but when you're talking about grails like this, there's going to be a fluctuation in some number pricing or percentage-wise. You just never know how much more it's going to be just for half a point, let alone, you know, even a point. Like, can you imagine? But I want to talk about this next book because we're discussing Superman. So let's talk about Action Comics 1. We did have a sale this year. It was a restored CGC 8.5. Okay, and that even as a restored copy, this book is going to see large numbers. And we saw this one sell for $314,000.
Now, seeing an 8.5, something that's almost near mint, go for under $500,000 for like the most wanted grail in the world. It seems low to me, but you don't think so?
I don't think it's low because we got to think about this restored market.
Sure.
When I look at restored books, I'm not a big fan because I just watch technology. I see what they can do with books and how they can restore them to these amazingly high grades. So basically, you could take any portion of a book, completely rebuild it, and have yourself some massively high grade copy. So I don't feel like it's that scarce. You're almost buying this book at its bare bones minimum and paying to have some work done to it. So you almost have to judge it on that. And the books are just not going to reach landmark numbers. I mean, if this was an 8.5, all right, unrestored, I mean, this book is probably a $1.5+ million book. I mean, so that's the difference here. I look at restored and it scares me. I don't ever want to invest in a restored book, especially if it's going to have something like trimming, paper cleaned, staples replaced, maybe. But there's just certain things that they do to restored books that you just have to stay away from.
When you're dealing with that expensive of comic books, the services, they're endless that you can pay for. You can get entire pages redone when you're dealing with a book that's a freaking $1 million. Like, and it'll be worth doing to a degree. So, if you're trying to find the right buyer who wants it completed, even if it is going to be coming back at that purple label, I find it interesting. I also find it interesting that the next one on this list, we're gonna have to give you another like bonus comic here to chat about. We're talking about Cap 1, but we have 2 different copies that sold, and I think these are low, and I want to hear your thoughts on it. We had a Cap 1 at 9.4 sell. For how much?
We saw several Cap 1 sell this year. Okay, this was the highest selling copy. I thought this book was going to break 1 million. I really did. This 9.4 San Francisco copy, which is a beautiful pedigree, by the way, sold for $915,000.
Now, it didn't break 1 million, and that was what was surprising to me. Seeing a near mint Cap 1 in this market, I feel like is $1 million book at least. But then take a look at this one. Cap 1 at 7.0 sold earlier this year. Now, granted, a couple points lower, but still 7.0. It's a Cap 1. Jack Kirby, are you kidding me? $228,000. It seems low.
When you hear that number and you think about it, it does seem low, but I've seen 7.0, 7.5, and this is where it is. Like, I've seen people trying to push the market with this book, but it seems to be very stagnant right now and stuck.
All right, number 5 on this list, we did have some crazy comic sales, but the original art market saw some records this year. Let's chat about the $5.4 million sale.
When you hear a number like that, there's only very few artists that are going to get you that type of dollar. And really, Frank Frazetta is the only one that jumps to the top of my head right now.
And that's what we're talking about.
And that's exactly who we're discussing. His Egyptian queen painting, which is an absolute classic for him, hit that $5.4 million number. And he's a comic artist, but he's also such a fine artist that he crosses over into that realm of different collectors.
That's right. When we see art in the comic market cross over to just like mainstream fine art sales, that's when these numbers start getting just crazy expensive. Here's another one I wanted to throw on here. I sold for a lot less. We're talking $600,000, a mere $500,000. We're talking about Neil Adams, Batman 251, the classic Joker cover.
$600K is not a surprise for this cover. I mean, this is Neil Adams at some of his best. Classic Joker cover.
Did you see it at New York when it was there? They had it on display. It was cool to see it in person, man. I'm glad I got to see it before it gets probably put in a damn museum or someone's PC.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing piece. Congratulations to Salar Ryer, and I didn't get a chance to own it, so I never will. So maybe I can buy a piece of it through Otis one day.
Maybe Otis will acquire it. All right, well, that was number 4 on the list. Let's chat about number 3 right now. We have Wiz number 1. This is classic. It's super scarce. It's one of those grails for a lot of people. And a 6.0 sold for $150,000. And I think Shazam is one of those golden age heroes that people were really hoping would land with the public. And I think it did this year.
Yeah, I mean, we have the first appearance of Captain Marvel with this book, just so you understand the weight of what it is.
Yeah, Fawcett, let's do it.
Yeah, and $150,000, I mean, I don't know if that's a bad price, to be honest. I think that's a pretty low number for what could possibly be the future of this character and the expansion of it. Like a 6.0, I haven't seen that book come out in that grade. I can't even tell you how many years.
No kidding. What about this next one on the list? Number 2, we have Phantom Lady issue number 17. I was excited to see you include a Matt Baker cover on this list. It went at a 9.4 grade. $121,000. What the hell is going on with this book?
Yeah, Baker did the cover art to this, all right? And it's a classic cover used in The Seduction of the Innocent. And Fox Publications is the one who did this. And I like Fox Publications. I did actually talk about them in my article, by the way. So stay tuned for that, because I do feel they have a lot of great books in their lineup. And for this one to go for $121,000 at 9.4, kind of a high number initially my gut wants to say, but it's such a classic cover and character that I'm not surprised.
Yeah, there's like certain collectors out there that are waiting for these high grade good girl covers to hit the market, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts more about the romance golden age genre here in a little bit on this show later on, but not before we chat about number 1, the last one on this list. Again, in no particular order, we have Sensation Comics. Number 1, 8.5, selling for a staggering $132,000. What's going on?
This is one of her best covers, I have to tell you, especially in the beginning. So this is one of the earliest appearances of Wonder Woman, all right? And it sold for $132,000 as an 8.5. It's not her first appearance. but it's a great cover, an amazing book. Not surprised the number whatsoever.
You know, and I've been told that All-Star Comics 8, her first appearance, given that it was kind of a layered appearance in the pages, not on the cover, that is one that doesn't sell as aggressively. It may be worth more, but not as aggressive as other appearances. Is that true?
I feel that is true. I don't see this book selling for the numbers like a Wiz 1, okay, or a Superman 1 or a Batman 1. It just doesn't approach those numbers whatsoever, and it's got to be because of the cover. You know, you look at you have Captain Marvel on a Wiz 1, you have Superman 1, Superman on a Superman 1, you have Batman on a Batman 1. You don't have that cover. It's
kind of a testament to the quality and importance of what goes on that first page.
Yeah, it absolutely helps the value of a book, period.
We want to know your thoughts, comic fam. Let us know in the comments section below. What was your favorite comic on this list? Did any of these sales surprise you?